Hey guys, it's Chili B here again. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so apologies if I'm not super clear today, but hopefully I'm clear enough. Today we're checking out a kind of mini-series that I'm doing that I'm calling Lizsec, and the idea of it is to help us understand the fundamentals of the blockchain more so that we know how to properly protect our lizards and our other NFTs and coins that we're working really hard to build. It'll start off really slow with the fundamentals. You might know some of this, but hopefully it all builds on top of each other. And by the end of it, we'll have a really clear idea of how to stay safe across all of our blockchain actions. Ethlizard news coverage will still be my main thing, but I think if we can become a more knowledgeable community that can even help out the other communities that we join with, at least help them out with the basics, it makes us a really standout project when compared to pure degen groups that just run in and hype it and flip it and leave no real value for the project itself. So that's why I'm starting this series. Let's jump in. As always, this is never financial advice. I don't give financial advice, and you wouldn't want my financial advice. It's also not security advice. I don't have expertise in this field. I'm just trying to figure it out for myself, figure out how to keep my lizards safe, and hopefully that will help you figure out how to keep yours safe as well. So I'm going to give a few recommendations at the end of what I'm going to do. But it doesn't mean that this is automatically what you should do, but you should definitely have a think about it. When I have questions I want to answer, I like to go back to first principles so I kind of understand the situation really well. Because I think that if you can understand the situation well, so in this case, if you can understand how your NFTs or crypto might be put in danger, then you can understand better how to keep them safe. And then on top of that, you can understand how to take measured risks as well. So maybe that degen mint is worth it, or maybe that degen mint's not worth it. But the goal of this is to figure out how to keep our lizards safe by returning to first principles and making sure we understand the foundations of the stuff that we're doing on the blockchain. Maybe at some point in the future, we won't need to know these fundamentals anymore. A bit like we don't really need to know how most of the internet works to know how to keep safe. But for now, and probably for the next while, we do need to know what's going on to really stay safe, I think. So the first step I want to take is to figure out what a wallet is. And this was a surprisingly hard question to answer. Okay. We're over on Figma, and I've just got a really simple diagram. On the left is your wallet, MetaMask, I'll say, and on the right is the blockchain or Ethereum. Normally, when we talk about NFTs and crypto and coins and stuff, we say that our Bitcoin or our Ethereum or our lizards are in our wallet. They're in our cold wallet, they're in our MetaMask wallet, they're in whatever wallet. But actually, our NFTs and our coins and whatever else we have aren't in our wallet at all. They're all on the blockchain, and they're stored as state changes on the blockchain, which are just attributed to our address or our account. So if our valuable things are all actually on the blockchain, what's in our wallet and why do we need to bother trying to secure it? Zooming in on our wallet, we can define a wallet as just any application that allows us to interact with the blockchain or with Ethereum or with whatever. And it does that with the use of public and private keys. Zooming in again, it's probably familiar to you, but every time you start out a fresh wallet, you start with a seed phrase. Fox, dog, cat, whatever your seed phrase is, the wallet puts that seed phrase through a thing called a hash function. And all a hash function is a bit of code that takes an arbitrary input, so whatever you put in, a seed phrase in our example, and it maps that to a fixed size output. And in our example, those are the master keys, which we've got here. Master keys are sometimes called extended keys. Sometimes people will call them wallets as well. The same as the seed phrase. People will sometimes call your seed phrase your real wallet. So that's something to watch out for because it gets confusing when MetaMask is a wallet, your seed phrase is a wallet, your master keys are a wallet. Also your accounts, which we'll get to a bit later on, they're sometimes called a wallet as well. So you just need to be aware that different people use the term wallet differently, and I'll clarify how I'm using it a bit later on. But basically, once your seed phrase goes through the hash function, it spits out your master keys. You don't have to worry about these details here. That's just for me and further learning. But from your master keys, it goes through another hash function, which then outputs your accounts. And again, don't worry about this part here, the derivation path. That's just me trying to understand a bit more as well. But accounts are the parts that we functionally use to interact with the blockchain. The seed phrase and the hashing and all of that were just a system to create the account securely and uniquely. And all your accounts is a pair of private and public keys. So each private key has a matching public key, and they can't be interchanged with each other. So this private key belongs with this public key belongs with this private key, and so on. And this private key, public key system, which is sometimes called asymmetric encryption, is used in all sorts of functions on the internet. So it's not a blockchain specific thing, but its application in the blockchain is to allow things to be signed. So private keys sign transactions, and to allow signatures to be verified. So that's what the public key does. So if you want to send 10 Ethereum to this particular address, you would create that transaction, you'd sign it with your private key, and then the smart contract verifies the signature before executing it. Your address comes into the picture as a further hash of your public keys, and obviously the address is used in transactions. So that was all a bit abstract. So we'll jump into MetaMask, and you can see little bits of how the different keys work. When you enter your seed phrase into MetaMask, it generates an account for you. And if we go into that account, so I've just named this vault, but you can name it whatever you want. It doesn't affect anything. If you go into account details, you can see that you can export the private key. If you click on that, you type in your MetaMask password, and you'll just get a string of numbers, and that's your private key. That's the thing that MetaMask uses to sign your transactions, to prove that those transactions are coming from you. And if we go to another account, you won't be able to see it, but this has its own private key again. I won't type it in so you don't see it, just in case I ever use it. But it's a separate private key for each account. So that's this part here. Private key for my first wallet, private key for my second wallet, third, fifth, 20th, whatever. So all MetaMask does is it generates these private and public key pairs, and it protects the private key. The public key is for everyone to see. So private keys are stored within MetaMask. Public keys, they're not actually stored anywhere, but let's keep it outside of MetaMask here, just to show that they're publicly available, and the address of your wallet can be derived from the public key. So all that's in your MetaMask then is your seed phrase and the derivative keys from your seed phrase. There's no lizards, there's no coins, there's no anything inside your MetaMask, just private keys. So people use the word wallet to refer to lots of different things. Some people use the word wallet to refer to the software used to access your keys, like a MetaMask or whatever. Some people use the word wallet to refer to the seed phrase, and then some people use the word wallet to refer to a particular account. And in some sense, they're all correct because that's just how we use the language. As long as you know what I mean by wallet, then it's fine. Ethereum themselves is quite particular. They say a wallet is an interface or application that lets you interact with your Ethereum account. So that would be definition 1. It's the software you use to access your keys. So from this point, when I make videos, I'm going to try and call the software layer the wallet. So MetaMask is a wallet, Ledger is a wallet. I'm going to call the seed phrase, and then I'm going to call the separate accounts. I would pretty commonly say my minting wallet or my burner wallet, but I'm going to try and call it my minting account or my burner account. So that's what a wallet is. It's the interface or the application that lets you interact with your account. One really interesting side note, this same seed phrase can be used to generate keys that work on all sorts of blockchains. So this same phrase can generate blockchain private keys and public keys and addresses. It can generate Ethereum ones, Litecoin, Phantom, Optimism, whatever, all from the same seed phrase. It's just how it goes through these hash functions, particularly this one, step 4, that determines what those private keys and public keys are functional for. Okay, back to the main point. So that's what a wallet is, that's what a wallet does, and you can see now why you need to protect it, because if someone gets a hand on your private keys or on your seed phrase, they can sign transactions as you and do whatever they want to your account. But how do we protect it? In a general sense, to figure out how to stay safe, you just have to figure out the possible attack vectors, the possible paths someone could take to compromise whatever you're trying to protect, and then you take some measures to make that really hard for them. There's probably no such thing as 100% safe, but with a few small actions, we can make it pretty hard for someone to compromise our seed phrase or our private keys. So there's lots of other ways to get hacked and to be compromised in crypto, but as far as wallets go, I think there's only 3 possible attack vectors, as far as I can see. 1, that's your seed phrase or the master keys that are generated from them. 2 is the hash function itself, so basically the wallet. And 3 is the individual keys for each account, so the private-public pair for each account. And I think just 3 or 4 steps will help prevent or make it super hard for us to be compromised in any of these attack vectors. The first thing I think we can do is to have a hard copy only of our seed phrase. So no soft copies, no copy of it in Google Docs or in your email or as a text file on your computer or anything like that. If you can keep it off all electronic devices, that means that for someone to compromise your seed phrase, they have to have physical access to the seed phrase. And basically, because of geography, that cuts out billions of people in the world getting access to your hard copy. You also need to be careful with the hard copy because if it's paper, it might get damaged in a flood or something like that, or a fire. So you probably want to have 2 copies, 3 copies in safe, separate locations. Or you might want to consider those products where you can store your seed phrase as like a steel seed phrase, so it won't get damaged in fire or anything. The second thing, and a really simple thing to do, is to double check your download or your purchase of the wallet. If you're installing it from scratch, you just want to make sure that if it's MetaMask, it comes from metamask.io. If it's a ledger, you want to buy it from the ledger website. You don't want to take your chances on downloading a fake MetaMask or buying a fake ledger just to save yourself a bit of time. I think just spend the extra few minutes or spend the extra few dollars to guarantee that you're getting the right thing. Because really, if your hash function or your wallet is compromised, then everything's compromised because you're typing your seed phrase into it and the wallet can generate whatever keys it wants out of that. So it might not be genuine keys, it might be a set of keys that the hacker already has a copy of and is just waiting for you to fill up that wallet so he can drain it. Or any number of things can happen if your wallet itself is compromised. The third thing we can do, which also affects all of these attack vectors, is to keep your computer clean and keep your MetaMask password or your Ledger password or whatever safe. Personally, I use a separate computer for crypto only. So all it has on there is MetaMask and I only go to sites that I know are clean. What you want to do is make sure that this computer never gets a virus, it never gets key logging software on there or anything like that. If you can afford something like a cheap laptop that you only use for crypto, personally, I think that's a really good idea. And the final thing that we can do, which is actually an extension of keeping your computer clean and safe, is to use a hardware wallet. I showed you before that you could actually access your private keys through MetaMask, so it means they're stored on your computer somewhere. But also your seed phrase is stored on here as well. So in MetaMask, in the settings, you can reveal your secret recovery phrase just by entering your MetaMask password. What a hardware wallet does is move all the functions of your software wallet, like MetaMask, onto a device that's not your computer. And that device has its own security mechanisms, like stuff in it's encrypted and all those sorts of things. So your keys and your seed phrase are one more step removed from being compromised if your computer's compromised. So even if you plug a hardware wallet in to a compromised laptop that has a key logger or some sort of virus or whatever, the seed phrase and the private keys for all your accounts will never touch that computer. It stays only on your hardware wallet. So the hardware wallet helps to mitigate all these attack vectors as well by taking your seed phrase and your keys offline. But that doesn't mean your hardware wallet is perfectly safe. We'll go through in the future some other ways that you might be compromised that a hardware wallet won't really protect you from. So to wrap that all up, there's 3 potential attack vectors when it comes to wallets: the seed phrase and the master keys that are derived from them, the hash function of the wallet itself, so a compromised wallet, and then the account keys, which are what actually interacts with the blockchain. And you can mitigate a lot of the danger of those attack vectors by keeping a hard copy only of your seed phrase, by double checking your download of your wallet or your purchase, and by keeping your computer clean and keeping your password safe, and possibly considering a hardware wallet as well. So that's it for Lizsec-1. I'm hoping to build out this diagram so it's a comprehensive map of all the potential dangers, maybe not all, of most of the potential dangers that we can commonly run into when we're playing with crypto. And I hope by mapping it out that helps me stay safe and you stay safe too. This stuff is taking me a really long time to get my head into. It's kind of a bit of a rabbit hole that you can just go as deep as you want. And I don't know if you find it boring, but I think it's really important because you don't want to lose your lizard only to see the lizard floor price skyrocket and the revenue distribution start pouring in, all because you made a simple mistake with your security, which could have been prevented if you just knew about it. So I hope the Lizsec series helps us all to stay safe. Links to my key references where I got all this info from are in the show notes. And if this is helping you out, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.